everybody. With today's episode of Silverback Syndicate, I'm going to go over the 5 do's and don'ts when you enter the EP industry. All right. Now, the reason why we're covering these topics is because a very simple fact. If you want to evolve, you kind of have to have a firm base of where you're starting. A lot of times in the industry, guys don't know the starting point. It's probably one of the main questions I receive on a regular basis is, what do I need to do to begin? So just to help out the newcomers in the industry, or even some of the guys who've been in the industry for a while and they're just not where they think their career needs to be, I'm going to give you some baseline points for you to go off of. And, with the right execution, it should help you get to the next level. I try not to curse, but you get what I'm saying. Okay, so one of the first things you should definitely do when starting your EP career is first investing in yourself. Now, that may not necessarily mean that you're financially capable of paying for a course or going to some type of formal training out the gate. I completely understand that. But what you can do is invest in yourself mentally first. Number one, try to find yourself a mentor. It costs you absolutely nothing. A mentor can help you navigate through a lot of obstacles a lot easier. Just being the fact that you have a mentor with a decent reputation, that can help you get jobs. If you're affiliated with the right people, your network is your net worth. Very simple. Another thing that you can do without having any currency is reading, using the internet, studying. Looking at case studies that have happened throughout the present moment as well as in the past, watching blogs, emailing other people in the industry, asking them questions. Usually that helps. Sometimes you may not get a response to your question immediately because a lot of people are busy, but be patient. Okay, be consistent, and they'll reach back out to you and give you information to help with yourself as well. One thing I did for my personal self was I started off in the club industry. So while I was working, I utilized what was happening throughout my shift to learn and understand what bodyguarding kind of feels like, what you should notice, do's and don'ts in nightlife, because you will spend a lot of time in nightlife taking your clients to and from places. One of the things I ended up doing was learning how the actual business of nightlife works. What is the roles of an in-house security guard? What are the laws in regards to what an in-house security guard can and cannot do? Learning about if people are allowed to carry inside certain venues, things of that nature. That does not cost you anything. It does not require you to go to a formal training to get that information. Now, once you get to a point that you can financially afford to go to a training course, you need to make sure you go to one that's going to help you in the niche market that you're looking at. Okay. If you are a guy who wants to be a part of the celebrity protection world, I wouldn't suggest going to some type of training that is more designed towards corporate CEOs. Yes, you can learn from it. Yes, you should do the training course. But if you are on a limited budget, you have to maximize your dollar. Going to the wrong training course is not going to help you. OK, so pay attention to that. You have to pick the right schooling for the niche market that you are looking at, or what works better for you. Me, I'm 6'7", I'm almost 300 pounds. I cannot expect myself to get called for jobs that require me to stand next to a CEO. Reason being, CEOs don't want to draw attention to themselves. So me knowing that, I decided to strengthen myself in the niche market of celebrity protection. Now, does that mean I don't get CEO jobs? I do, but it's going to come in a different aspect. I may not necessarily be the immediate body man. I may be the advanced guy. I may be another member on the team more for crowd control or clearing the lane, walking in the front. There's different things that you can do in the industry based off of what you look like, how you carry yourself, your strengths and weaknesses that you have. These are all things that you need to pay attention to. So invest in training right away. And like I said before, it is not something that requires a financial dollar. It is just something that you have to make an effort to do and be mindful when doing it, because you don't want to be associated with the wrong people. You want to be associated with the right people, and that takes foresight. Okay. Don't live your career worried about hindsight, because anybody can make judgment on hindsight. Mistakes are made, but what happens when you make the mistake? Do you explode? Do you get upset? Do you make a scene? No. Most of the times when you make a mistake, the only person who knows you made a mistake is you. So keep that in mind. Bullet point number 1, invest in the right training for you and what you're trying to be in the industry. Okay, so the second thing that you need to do in regards to starting off your EP career, it's a very simple one. It's not rocket science, but it's something that a lot of people seem to underestimate, and that's mastering situational awareness. Okay, situational awareness comes in many different formats. You need to be able to read the room. Okay, you need to anticipate threats. You need to understand your environment. You need to know your environment. These are all the things that are a part of situational awareness. And it's something that I will stress to you immediately. If you are understanding of situational awareness, you will keep a job. Okay. Situational awareness affects every aspect of the job. Okay. If you are dealing with a team, you need to be aware that your communication skills have to be firm, they have to be clear, and they have to be understanding. And you have to keep a smile on your face while doing so. Being an EP is not always about standing next to someone or making a mean face or getting caught in the background of a picture. A lot of it has to do with your brain power and using your situational awareness more than your physical presence. Okay. If you are able to spot body language, if you are able to understand the social skills and understand what stands out in the environment that you are in, that can go a long way. I'll give you a perfect example. If you are at Fashion Week in New York, okay, Fashion Week has a lot of high profile individuals who you may not know just based off of face, but they are important. Also, Fashion Week is a melting pot. You have multiple genres taking place at one time with talent from all different places in one place at one time. So you can have a celebrity that is known in Russia and a celebrity that's known in Spain, but not in America, right? How do you navigate that? By treating everybody the proper way. Well, there's certain things that will tell you who's who. Usually they walk around with a team. You know, they might have a security presence, but the security may not look like you. A CPO from a foreign entity doesn't necessarily carry themselves or dress exactly how a EP would here in America. Those are certain things that those are certain things that I'm referring to when I say situational awareness. You know, you don't want to be the guy, or you don't want to be the agent who is escorting their client, and then another celebrity is walking up to your client, but because you don't recognize that that's a celebrity, or you didn't pay attention to the approach or how they were coming, because you were strictly looking directly at your client and not what's going on around your client, you're putting your hands on the wrong person. That may lead to an altercation between you and that celebrity. That may lead to an altercation between you and that celebrity's other bodyguard. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are little things that turn into big deals. Another perfect example, we had a movie premiere, or was it an awards premiere in Europe? And there was like a EP agent. She was a female working at the awards ceremony, and she kept rushing certain celebrities that were high in status. And the problem with her rushing them was she was given instructions on trying to move people along, right? But she wasn't recognizing the fact that wardrobe was slowing down the process. If you have a lady with a gown on that's going 8 feet behind her, you can't tell her to hurry up. You can't step on her dress. You can't tell her skedaddle, because no matter what you say, her having on heels, having that dress, the weight of the dress, the drag that it has on the carpet, all those things play an effect on somebody's pace, right? But you're not looking at that. You're not reading the room. You're not having awareness of the situation. So now you're on every blog and every episode of a morning show criticizing you and your skill set because you did not read the room. So situational awareness is a key factor, and is not something that you don't have to learn. You should be picking up on these cues just in human nature. So if you are somebody who is oblivious in their normal life, maybe you should take the time to start training your brain in your normal life to be more aware of the situations around you. So that way it doesn't take a lot of effort when you're at work. You know, that's something you should always have at all times. All right, guys. So the third thing you need to know and work on in regards to starting your EP career is building your reputation first, but not your ego. This business is full of alpha males, or what people like to consider alpha males and females. And usually when you are an alpha, you have a little bit of an ego. An ego is not a bad thing. The problem is, when is your ego showing up? Okay. The best way to have an ego is by being consistently good, right? So if you are new to something, how can you be consistently good if you don't have a track record? So that's why I say, not your ego. Be on time. On time is early. Never when the clock is supposed to start. If I give you an assignment and I say, hey, start time is 8 a.m. If I were you, I'd be there by like 7:15. Why so early? You want to give yourself a chance to worry about traffic or any other miraculous incident that can have you showing up late. I heard a story once of a guy who had been working with a CEO client for a multitude of years, probably one of their most senior agents. They had a flight scheduled to leave at like 3 o'clock. The agent left early, but somehow, some way, a crane fell on the highway. Yes, I said a crane. That delayed the agent from making it to the flight. The client fired the agent. You ask yourself, well, why would they fire him if it was a crane? Like, you have nothing to do with a crane. Like, who can predict that? And the CEO's response was a very simple one. My time is money, not yours. And I was like, wow, that sucks, but it makes all the sense in the world. Your client doesn't revolve around what's going on in your life. They don't care. They only care about what's going on in their life, and they are paying you to be on time and be a part of their life. Now, had that agent left maybe 30, 40 minutes earlier in the day and gave himself more leeway to be early to the flight versus on time, would he have made it? I don't know. Maybe he would have had an opportunity to go on a different exit. But the bottom line is, you didn't make it on time. The client doesn't care why. You didn't make it on time. Keep that mindset. They don't care why. Be on time. That is building your reputation. That is the client saying, hey, this guy's reliable. That's why I keep calling him. That's why I keep him around. Your work ethic plays a part. So if you don't have a work ethic early on, and then you're trying to start this career, it's not going to work out well for you. You have to build your reputation. You have to stand on your reputation. At the end of the day, your reputation is all that you will have. Because, and people get upset about this, you're going to see a lot of guys, and you're going to meet a lot of guys who are working a job that they're not qualified for based off of what you know about them, right? But understand, the people who hire these agents, they're not checking resumes. The majority of the time, they're not checking resumes. They're asking people, how do you feel about this guy? How do you like this guy? What's his reputation? People like to work with who they like or who they can get along with. It's not always about how fast you can draw your gun or how big you are or how many push-ups you can do or how good you look in the suit. It's really, do they like you? So yes, build your reputation, stand on principle, How the young guy say it, stand on business, stay 10 toes down at all times, but always be yourself and be consistent. Do good work. Good work is what builds your reputation. Good work is what keeps you in the game. You have to have discipline, good work, be reliable, be the guy who's always answering the phone. If you're a young guy, you have no reason not to be available. You have no reason not to be ready for the call. Be ready for the call. Build your reputation, keep your reputation, maintain your reputation, because now your reputation, once you move up, is going to reflect the people that are around you who are new after you. You know, it's like a revolving door. You got to keep the cycle going. OK, but if you have a bad reputation, if you get one bad review, because you're only as good as your last job, if you get that one bad review, that can ruin you. And every EP is going to have to face that moment where their reputation is on the line. OK, so the next point we're going to talk about is called networking. Networking works everywhere, every job. You've been doing networking since you were a child, right? But it gets a little tricky, okay? Because networking can either really, really, really help you or really, really, really hurt you, okay? And the best way for networking to help you is, like I said before, many, many occasions, number one, find you a reputable mentor, someone who has a significant positive outlook in the business. You're not always going to make everybody happy, so you're not always going to hear positive things about everybody in every occurrence. But if 90% of the time you are talking and bringing up somebody's name and all you hear is good things, that is a person you want to be known to be around, be with, or work for, or work with, or train with, what have you. Your network is your net worth, okay? I have made more money in this industry because of my network versus anything else, okay? Your looks, your height, your weight, yes, that is all important at some point in time. But your network can overcome all of those things. Because if someone called me about one of my younger agents that I work with or I'm training or bringing up in industry, once I say he's one of my guys, whatever his pros and cons are don't matter, okay? My network just vouched for him. And because I have a good reputation, I do good work, the client is automatically going to understand that that individual that I'm speaking on will come do the job the same way I would. Now, it's not a guarantee they'll do it exactly the same way I would, but the baseline will show that the training and the mindset is similar. And for that, you can make a lot of good things happen. So focus on your network. Don't be one of these tough guys when you walk into the venue. You don't smile. You don't speak to people. You just get the big broody face and you walk with your client. You stand outside the door and you look mean and official. That's not how you network. Okay. I tried it. I'm not going to lie. I tried it early on in my career. I just wanted to do the work. I wasn't trying to be friends with everybody. I wasn't trying to speak to everybody. I was just trying to do the job. And one of the reasons I didn't network a lot was because I was concerned about my social dynamics and making mistakes, because the more you open your mouth, the more you line yourself up to get in trouble for it. I like to crack jokes. I like to smile. I like to laugh. And when you're supposed to be securing somebody, that may not always seem like the best thing is to, like, you know, you look up the hallway and you see 2 or 3 bodyguards standing there talking and laughing and giggling with each other. You know, some people may feel that that's not professional. Some people may feel that you're not paying attention to the principal. Even though the principal may be sitting in the green room, there's still a lot going on. So a lot of times people want you to be more on point visually. Not saying you're not on point because you're talking, but perception is reality in that case. So, you know, I just stood there quiet like a big grump, and I never kept notes of people I was running into. And, you know, it got really frustrating that when they would see me again, they would say hello. And I would say hello, but not in a friendly manner that would make them want to keep talking to me or remembering my name or doing anything that would make my job easier. You want to speak to the venue security guard. If he's the manager, he's probably going to be there for some time. You're probably going to run into him again. It's good to say, hey, here's my number. Reach out to me. He may have dreams of being an EP. You never know. But the bottom line is you have to treat everybody nicely and like they are important, like they matter, because they are a part of your network. Some guys are ego driven and very male machismo is what is a word I would like to use. And they're not very aware that most of these venues that you go to, or a lot of establishments that you go to, you're going to be dealing with women. And there are a lot of women who run these venues. They're great people to network with because they're better communicators than most men. So they're constantly speaking to each other. So if you're on tour and you're stopping in Houston, more than likely you're going to go to either San Antonio or you're going to go to Dallas. The person that you ran into in Houston is connected to the person in Dallas. She or he will reach out to them and say, hey, listen, that tour that you got coming next, man, that guy was a headache, blah, 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 blah. But if you network with that individual, if you speak and you do your job properly and they like you because you were polite and you treated people accordingly and you weren't just a big brute and ogre, which is what they expect you to be anyway, that phone call is going to go differently. And they're going to say, hey, I met this guy named X. He's running the show over there. He's going to be to your city next. I gave him your contact information. He's going to reach out to you. He's a cool guy. By the time you get to that venue, your network just vouched for you. There's no issues as far as walking through the door and having to start your job early in the morning or in the afternoon, or whatever time you arrive to the venue, because your network has really just put a stamp on you. So now the people are going to be more happy to receive you and give you intel that they probably wouldn't give somebody else because they don't like them. Your network is so important. It really can make or break you. It can make you stagnant in the industry if you do not have a good network. Your network can save you from those slow seasons in the music industry, which is the side of things that I deal with. I deal with a lot of tours, right? There's tour seasons. I can't tour all year round. It's just impossible unless you work for a bigger firm who probably has like a big contract with all the bigger acts that constantly do 3, 4, 5 month road trips. That happens, but it's not as often as a tour that's going to do a 60-day run or a 45-day run. Those are more conducive to the time constraints that come with touring. So with that being said, your network needs to open up the doors for other access points. I have corporate clients, I have sports clients, that whether they play football or basketball, I keep them in separate seasons. So therefore I can constantly be working throughout the year and I'm not just bottlenecked to one industry. That only happens because of my network. People only call you if they know what you can and can't do. They're not really calling some random person and be like, hey, I heard you do security. That is not how the game works. You need your network. You need your network to elevate you and not hurt you. Okay, so the final point that I want to go over in regards to the top 5 things I would suggest you do to get your career going in the right direction. Sounds very simple. It's not, but it is. The art of blending in. And what I mean by that is you are a protector. You are an executive protection agent. You are a bodyguard. You are a soldier. However you want to tell yourself your character in your head. At the end of the day, we have the same job. You protect your client. You get them to and from wherever they're going, and you get them home safely. And when you do that, you have to be there, but not be there. You have to be everywhere, but nowhere. Hear everything, but know nothing. See everything, but see nothing. And the only way that can happen is if you blend in. I am a larger person, but you will be amazed how many times I am in the room with people and they do not notice me. Okay. The easiest way to go unnoticed is to blend in and be plain. A lot of guys wear black. I prefer black. I just feel good in black. I feel like it just works with my melanated skin. But not everybody has to wear black. I know a lot of different agents, especially the higher up you go in the food chain. you will not see them wearing black. You will see them wearing covert clothes that make them fit in. And their clients prefer that. I do have clients who have asked me in the past not to wear black. One of the first things that I do on a detail is I ask, hey, where are we going and how do you want me to dress? And the reason why I ask them how do I want to be dressed by them is because I want to know exactly what they expect their EP agent to look like, not what I expect, right? So if they're saying, hey, just business casual, blah, 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 blah. Business casual is not a black polo. Business casual is more of a softer tone color, maybe with a sports coat on top or a long sleeve business dress shirt, or maybe just a nicer polo with a cleaner finish, no logos, no brands. Definitely not a 511 cut because you can notice the difference in the materials. So that's a part of the blending in situation. At one point in time, I had an NBA client that I was with full time, right? So what would I do? I would dress like an athlete. So instead of looking like his bodyguard, at first glimpse, you probably thought I was one of his teammates. I took advantage of that. That is how you can blend in. One of the best ways to blend in is to not talk, but don't have an angry face, be clean cut. Don't have a big, crazy, outrageous beard. Don't have super long dreads or blonde tip dreads and things like that. Those are the things that will draw attention to you. Now, am I saying you can't have dreads and do this job? I'm not saying that at all. There is a look for everything that you do. But for me, this is my look. So this is how I rock my skill sets. This is my advertisement, but I'm blending in. Okay. Just as much as you have to be quiet when you do talk, speak like the people around you. Okay. If you're working with a hip hop artist and everybody's speaking in a certain lingo, and then you bust out with, some of those artists be like, oh man, he's a cop. They're not going to feel comfortable around you. That's going back to the point that I said, reading the room, knowing the environment that you are in, but you have to blend in. You have to follow the behavior cues. You have to move unnoticed. One thing I do when I'm with a principal, if there's a lot of media around, I don't stand right in front of the camera and I don't stand right behind them so I can be seen. I kind of like move to the side, but I stay in the vision of the client because the client should know wherever I go, you go. It's almost like a conversation that you've had to have already. So when they're looking to escape from those interviews and those questions, when they're ready to walk away, if they don't have a PR person that's standing next to them, sometimes you may come across as the PR person. So, you want to like just subtly move yourself out of range of the cameras, but then in range of what your client can see. And then you just give them a little head cue or you start clearing the way. The people with the camera are only showing him. So nobody notices what you're doing behind the scene. But behind the scenes, you can move 10, 15 people out the way to clear a path. And then boom, you and your client are on the move. It is very unnoticed. It's a subtle thing, but it goes a long way. And as you spend more time with the people that you work with, they'll feel more comfortable with you because you're making them not feel like someone's always around. You're going out of your way that when it's just you and them, you're off to the side. You're letting them do their thing. You're letting them on their phone. You're not asking them questions. You're trying to do little things just to make their life easier. And one of those things can be just not being noticed. Sometimes people just want to have space, even though they know they can't get space because you're there. If you're quiet enough, if you're low key enough, that will create a lot of merit to have the social dynamics that you need to keep the job. Okay. So those are the top 5 things that you need to go through and worry about when it comes to starting your EP career. If you can execute those 5 things, you'll have a very good start at this business. It's not rocket science. It's not the hardest business in the world to do. But there are some do's and don'ts that you have to deal with. Now, in regards to the don'ts, this goes to the new guys and old guys. This is something that you constantly have to go over with yourself, because it can lead you in the wrong direction. Sometimes people do it for a while, they get lazy, they get complacent, and then they forget the do's and don'ts, right? So one of the first things I would tell people is don't chase the cool jobs. Don't take a job because it's with the artist that you like. Don't take a job because it's the genre that you like. Like that's not going to help you none, because you're chasing money. Chasing money is just a horrible way to live your life, because when you chase money and you get it, it's going out the door just as fast as it came in. Okay. So we don't chase the cool jobs. Get jobs that are going to give you the proper experience and it's going to fit well with your personal lifestyle. You know, if you are a person who likes to party, go crazy, but then you get a job working with a pastor, does that really make sense for you in your career? Are you able to make that code switch? I highly doubt it. But the paycheck sounds nice and you wanted to wear a suit, so you took the job. Now, you know, your personal life, let's say you smoke. Okay, it may linger on your clothes or your hair or on your skin, and you're going around the church people and they smell it. That's a problem. So chasing the cool jobs is just never going to work out for you. Social media is extremely important. Don't post everything on social media. If you can, really don't post anything. Never post in real time. Okay. Never show your locations. Never leave breadcrumbs for people to figure things out. I had a sports client who was re-signing their contract, and the newspaper writers found my personal social media page, and they were using that to try to figure out where he was going to sign. Luckily, me being mindful, I don't post anything in real time, nor do I post anything to really give information away. So whatever they decided to put together, it sent them the wrong direction. Okay. So social media, do not post. Okay. Stay off of social media. If you want to promote your brand and your business, that's cool. But posting your clients is something I don't do or like to do. I understand why people do it, but if you can avoid it, try to avoid it, because you don't want to get boxed in with your client. Okay. Don't undervalue how important your fitness, your eating habits, your routine is to the job. You want to have a certain conditioning level so that you can operate at a high level every day. I like to tell everybody 30 minutes a day will keep the W-2s away. You want to be a 1099. Okay. A W-2 means you got to go work a 9 to 5. Okay. Push-ups, sit-ups. If you can do that in your hotel room on a regular basis, you'll be fine. Okay. I'm not asking you to be an Olympian. I'm not asking you to lift 3 plates. I'm not asking for power cleans. I'm asking for consistent discipline on your lifestyle in regards to your health and your eating habits. Okay. There's going to be a lot of days that you cannot eat for long periods of time. Okay. How are you one of those cranky guys who, I got to eat, da, 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 da. Change your routine. Me, I drink a lot of fluids. I do that on purpose. If you stay full on water, smoothies, little protein shakes, things like that, you can quickly deal with that and still be engaged in what you have to do with the client. So that goes a long way. Don't talk too much. Like I told you before, I like to crack jokes. I like to have fun. But in my work environment, I don't talk because I don't want to reveal anything to the client, and I don't want the client to feel like I talk so much that I'm going to reveal something about them. So just keep your mouth closed, especially when you're in close proximity with the client. They should know something about you, but not know too much about you. I had a client who didn't know that I had a relationship or children, and I was with them for like 2 years. He's like, I didn't know. I was like, yeah, because you don't give that information out. And the final piece, extremely important. This game does not happen overnight. Okay. You're looking at somebody with 20 years of experience, and I'm still not at the point of success for me, for what I consider to be successful. I'm still chasing the big dogs of the industry. It doesn't happen overnight. Okay. Be patient, pay your dues, because if you want a career, if you want to have an opportunity to support your family and yourself, you have to be patient. It's not going to happen overnight. The money is not going to come quickly. It never works like that. If you've heard of a success story where somebody got everything really fast, I can almost guarantee it, everything left very, very quickly. Okay. Slow and steady consistency and following those five bullet points that I mentioned earlier will keep you in the game. So this is another episode of Silverback Syndicate. I want to thank you for joining me today. And just remember, together, apes strong. Okay. I'm out of here. Have a good day.